Welcome to Bristol, Tennessee, the home of the Thunderdome. We're going to be running this iRacing Stock Car Association, and we are going to be running 250 laps around this track. It is sponsored tonight by the Chilli's 250. And we'll stay tuned. I'll be right back at the National Anthem. All right, welcome back as we get ready to do a couple practice laps here. And before we get the green flag at tonight's Chilli's 250 at Bristol, Tennessee. We're going to run 250 laps around this track. And we've got 4 tire changes. That means 3 tire changes, including the set they're starting with. Field windows about 140 laps, but we're not going to see anybody risking it tonight. I don't believe. We are going to see an event full of banging and banging here. So we're going to get ready to run this as these guys get around there and warm them up a little bit. Let's run down the field a little bit. We've got Stephen West. Looks like he's going to start on the pole. We got Ashton Crowder outside of him, and Brian Johnson in the second row, and Michael Knight outside of him. Larry Reed and Andrew Melvin. Behind them is going to be James Mullins and Ron Hollyfield. And then we got Wayne Gross and Chris Johnson. So the Johnson and Johnson brothers up to the front of this top 10 field here. Let's see how this thing ends. Tonight, my pick to win the race is going to be the Craig Johnson. And that's going to be Craig Johnson. Let's see how well he ends up tonight. I've been known to pick the wrong one, but let's see if we're ready to roll. And we are getting ready to rumble. As we get the green flag, we're going to come across here, and the next lap will start this race. Let's get ready to rumble. We've got Stephen West up here, 74. And it looks like Stephen West got a nice gap there, lead. And he's doing pretty well, getting in front of that 22 Ashton Crowder. And you'll see the high line is where the boys want to stay. The high to the midline. And we're going to watch for crashes tonight because we're about to see a bunch of them here. Looks like the top 5 have single filed out, and that's a good thing to see. But we've got the 37 inside of the 68 here. And that's Michael Knight on the top line. And the top line is going to be the preferred line. The people on the bottom line, like Andrew Melvin and that 37, are going to eat their tires up, and you're going to see them getting really squirrely. So that's where you don't want to be. Looks like the 90 of Ronnie Hollyfield is going to get down there and try to get around as he gets a little squirrely. And almost gets into Michael Knight in that 68. And it looks like we've got the 22 of Ashton Crowder. He looks like he wants to try to lead this thing, and he's right on the tails of the 74 of Stephen West. But Stephen's kind of pulled himself out there, and he's calmed down. We got the 4 of Brian Johnson right there in 4th place. He's right behind James Mullins in that 6th car, and they're going to just, stay single file and try to wait for the right time, which I don't know if it's going to be anytime soon. Further back in the field here, we've got these guys back here a little bit deeper that are trying to race for position, trying to get themselves up there. But so far, I have to say, we've only ran 7 laps, but I'm impressed. And those 7 laps are really quick. As they're running around this track, they're running about 14 to 15 second laps. So this ought to be really interesting. It looks like the 9 car there, it gets a little squirrely. And I'm sorry, that's a 10 car of Curtis Sawyer. Now remember, these guys can go about 160 laps, and it looks like we've got somebody loose down there in the bottom. We're going to see that a lot. They come off these turns and they get a little squirrely. We got, looks like there's squirrely right in the wall. We're wrecking 68. Is that 64 got a little piece of that? Curtis Sawyer got a little piece of that. I mean, they're all still staying on the track, and they're still moving. We've got the 81 of Boyd Hogan in that 15 car. He's going to come through the field, but he started back in there a little bit farther than he's used to, and he's got to get through some lap traffic. And these guys are wanting to get to the front. They don't want to become a lap down, because if you start to the back of this field, you're only roughly about 6-7 seconds before you're going to go a lap down. Let's check back with our leader, see how far he is behind anybody to put them a lap down. We've got, looks like Mark Love right now is our biggest mover. He started in, I believe, the 28th position, and he's already up to 17 in that number 30. He is moving through this field, picking them off as he comes around the 64 of John Mullins. He's on the inside. Now this is a great move for Mark, but this could also backfire for him. If he doesn't get in that second groove up and towards the wall, he could be using up his material. But it does look like the 64, from my picture, has no hood. And we've got a caution out. Let's see what brought that caution out. It kind of looks like the 43 of Paul Olson might have brought that caution out. Let's go back and see what happened with Paul Olson in the 43. It looks like he just pulled off the track, thought about letting everybody by, but came back up on the track and caused a humongous chain reaction. There's going to be drivers here that are going to be having to stop and get some damage fixed. Now remember, pit road entrance is coming into turn 1 and 2. You'll see the green lights right there as we watch Paul Olson as he comes around in the 43. He's right on the spot where he can enter pit road right there. Now you have to come into pit road on one turn, go through the other side of the pits, and exit out of the other set of pits. You can't enter in one and then go right on the track here. If you do that, you'll see drivers that will attempt that, and they'll get a penalty, a black flag penalty that'll hold them about 40 seconds. And in 40 seconds, when they're running 15 lap increments, that puts you 3 to 4 laps down. So back on our leader, we got Stephen West. He's able to hold the lead over the 22 car of Austin Crowder. And behind them is James Mullen and Brian Johnson. And it does appear like we have a lucky dog already on lap 18. So he was already a lap down, and that would be the 13. And that is Brian Hubble. Looks like we got a couple that are going to take probably a pit stop here. I'm not going to say they're going to take tires. I'm probably going to say it's a fuel-only stop. But as we watch the 13 and Brian Hubble, he's going to go around all these cars and get back on the lead lap. We have already, in 17 laps, we've already got 3 cars a lap down. We've got Tyler Smith We've got Jeff Barnes and Paul Olson. Brian Hubble, he's getting back on the lead lap. That's going to put him it's like as everybody comes off pit road, he'll end up somewhere at about 27, 28, somewhere in there. Now this is an extremely difficult track because it's kind of like a fishbowl, and that's what I say. That is these guys race with extreme caution here because you never know when somebody's going to lose a rear end or slide up into you and cause you to lose your rear end. It's a wreck fest. We've had one caution, 17 laps to go. Okay, we're going to see more than that one caution because remember we got 250 laps here. We're not even a tenth of the way through this race, and we've already seen our first caution. So that's not uncommon. The warmer these tires get, the looser they get. So you've got to be very cautious on that. Let's go back to our field and see if we have any big movers that's really shaking and moving here. Yeah, we've got again Mark Love, and at 30, he looks like he's moved up from 29th to 9th. He has moved up 20 spots in that 30 car. Tanner Love in that 20, looks like Tanner Love is in the 30 car. He's moved up from 29 and all the way up into the 9th. Or no, he moved up from, is it 28th? As we're back underway. As it looks like we're watching behind the 30, Mark Love. He's on the bottom side of the, it looks like the 14 of Tanner Love, as they got a big cluster in front of them. That low line is not where you want to be, guys. You don't want to be there, but it does work for Mark Love for some reason. So he may have a setup good for that. And his tire wear might be okay if he can keep on getting these cautions every 17 laps. It looks like Paul Olson has took his car to the garage and is going to call it a night early tonight in that 3 machine. He was involved in that first caution. He must have had too much damage to feel like he could continue. As we're continually watching the battle between the 14 and the 30, let's check in with the leaders up here. Stephen West has checked out in that 74 machine. He's left in second place Ashton Crowder to deal with James Mullins in that 6 machine, and James is right on his tail. He wants that second position from that 22 car Ashton Crowder. He's not going to let him get too far away. And don't blink because Tyler Pluff is right behind James Mullins. And we've got Boyd Hogan coming up in this mix too. He's kind of patiently waiting to take the right move so he can get back up in there and see if he can't get himself a lead. 48 machine of Chris Johnson is sitting there steadily in 6th place. He's got pretty much very little competition behind him. I mean, he does have Mike Eames in that 3 machine kind of sneaking up every once in a while, but there's a gap that's pretty good here between the two of them. Let's go back and see how we're doing here. We got Wayne Grossi in that 7 car. He's turned some pretty good laps as he's trying to battle to stay in front of the 30 car of Mark Love, as Mark Love just went past Tanner Love. And I couldn't tell you, folks, if they're related. I mean, it's the Love brothers, and they're not showing any love for each other tonight. They're passing each other left and right. Yeah, we go back up to the front of this field. We got Boyd Hogan. He started this race out 19th, and he's up in 5th right now. But he's running his patient tire. He's maybe on conservation mode right now. He's trying to leave those tires from getting worn out, hoping and praying that the drivers in front of him, like Tyler Pluff and James Mullins, are using up their material. However, we've got some pretty good drivers in this top 10 already that know how to manage their tires and manage their fuel and stay out of trouble. So I don't know if that's going to work for you, Boyd. Let's go back in this field a little bit further and see if we can get to, let's try to drop in behind the top 10. We got Tanner Love has now moved himself into the top 10. Wayne Grassi is just got passed by Tanner Love, and Tanner Love is trying to put the 3 of Mike Eames down 1 here and take his position, but it looks like Mike Eames is not going to give it to him easily. He's not wanting to cough it up. Clifton Cockrell's back in this mix in that 16 car. He's gotten himself up into the 12th position, and he's battling to stay in front of Eric Kling in that 52 car. Eric Kling goes low and takes it a clean pass as it looks like Clifton Cockrell took it a little too high there and opened the door. And here comes David Gervais. Just watch this guy here, guys. He's on the top line here, and that's the spot to pass everybody as he comes a high side around Clifton Cockrell. And David Gervais takes a 14th position, and we have another yellow flag. Let's see what that brought out that caution. That looks like that might have been a 77 machine. Now, I'm not quite positive what brought that caution out here. I'm trying to look through the field and see who created that issue and where it came from. But again, we're sitting here. Now we got to do 21 laps, so we're not doing too bad. I do believe it was the 77 machine there. And that might be Michael Baker in the 77. Here comes the lucky dog, and that's the 11th car here of Ben Hurst. Let's watch the 77 here and see if we can kind of find out what happened. I don't believe, from what I'm seeing, that the 77 was involved in any wrecks. I mean, I don't believe he was. I think I'm getting misinformation. I don't think it was a 77 at all of Michael Baker. If it was, he made it look like it's not. Folks, I really couldn't tell you who caused that wreck. I'm looking through the field here and trying to figure out who it was. It looks like we've already got Curtis Sawyer. Curtis Sawyer in that, what is that, the 10 machine? He's called it a night. It does look like Jeff Burton has took his car to the garage. So we've got only 26 drivers on the lead lap, and we started this race out with 34 drivers. Well, while we take this, let's take a quick commercial break and see if we can't look back and see if we can't find what caused this last caution. And when we come back, we'll probably be ready to go green. And welcome back to the Chilli. Looks like it's we've got some drivers out here that got some damage on them, and we're getting ready to go green again. So let's get back to the front of this field with a 74 of Stephen West and the 22 of Ashton Crowder, and let's watch and see how this restart unfolds. See if Ashton learned anything from the last caution. See if he's not going to let Stephen West jump up there. He lays back a little bit at Ashton does, and I don't know what his thought is on that, doing that, but at 22 behind him, or at 6, I'm sorry, behind him, James Mullins not going to let it. And look who's up there with him. Stephen West takes off again. And here goes Boyd Hogan. He's on the top side. He's running that. He loves that against the wall, middle line. But Ashton Crowder doesn't allow him to get up there. He kind of pulls away, and this time he's not letting Stephen West get that far ahead. He's going to stick right with him. He may learn something on that last caution. As we watch the line, Stephen West is running. He kind of stays in that middle, and he drifts up just a little bit towards that wall. And just when you think his rear is going to get loose on him, he corrects it and gets back on the gas and keeps moving forward. But Ashton Crowder is hoping and praying that he makes a mistake, as Ashton closes in on him, and he gives him a little draft, and it kind of pushes him up further than Stevens used to. Sitting back here watching all this is Boyd Hogan and James Mullins. They're hoping and praying. Here we go with another caution. We haven't been able to go but about 10 laps that time. Yeah, and it looks like we got a 68. I know the 68 was involved in that because we just seen Michael Knight. So let's go back and watch the 68 of Michael Knight and see what happened there. But this caused a melee of mess. Well, it looks like the 68's already got some rear end damage. Oh, it does look like we had a checkup. The 17 kind of checked up. And let's see who got into the 17. It looks like the 4. And that 4 would be Mr. Brian Johnson, Mr. Impatient Brian Johnson. He was up there in the front there for a minute. He's now a lap down because somebody wasn't moving fast enough for him. So one of the Johnson brothers, they wanted to try to get up there a little bit faster than somebody in front of him was going to allow him. And he was letting them know, hey, I'm back here. You can either get out of my way or I'll make you. But this is racing at Bristol. This is like a fight. You know, you got to make the first blow. But there was contact also in front of the 17 car, so he might have checked up. And Brian Johnson might not have been able to check up soon, quick enough before he plows the rear end of that 17 car. So that could very well be just a driving incident that, 17 thought, oh, I see a wreck up here. I'm going to check up so I'm not involved in it. And Brian Johnson said, well, guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to slow down. So James Cullerbally and Brian Johnson were involved in that, but they didn't cause that incident. It was just a checkup there. Now our race controller is Chris Severa. He's monitoring these wrecks and he's throwing these flags because this is a track that's small enough to where if we wait for iRacing to throw these flags, we could have a lot more cars taken out. Okay, so he's watching this, and as soon as he sees a wreck that could cause the rest of the field to any kind of damage, he kind of throws that flag in and gets them all slowed back down. So let's give a big hand to Chris Severa. I'm sorry. It looks like Jeff Burton has taken his car to the garage tonight. I mentioned that before. I thought maybe he disconnected and was going to come back in. We're going to watch and see James Cullerbally in that 17 car. He's going to come in and see how much Brian Johnson pushed his rear end there for him. Now again, remember this pit road is in one pit road, out the other. And the speed on this thing, I believe, is 35 miles an hour. So you can imagine they're going around this track at about 160, 175, and they got to slow them cars down to 35 miles an hour. And then to keep yourself, because it's such a small track, keep maintain your composure, I should say, in the pit roads here. You've got to try to keep 35 miles an hour, knowing that behind you are leaders coming up. So you might get a little happy on that gas. And when you do that, that's going to throw a thing called a black flag, and it's going to make you start at the end of the line. So whatever positions you hope to gain, you may not gain. But it does, however, keep you on the lead lap. So we might see some folks doing that. I'm going to guess that some of these folks have taken a lot of tires, or have taken tires already, because we are, lap 50s. We're running on 52. Let's go back and see how Stephen West has done with that lead. Stephen West didn't do too well. He didn't fare too well on that restart because Ashton Crowder was ready for him. He said once, twice, 3 times, you're bad. Here we go. James Mullins and Stephen West are fighting with each other. I think this is a product of old tires. I don't think we've seen these leaders pit yet. As we watch Ashton Crowder, he's taking that lead, and he's watching James Mullins in his rearview mirror, knowing he's coming. In the meantime, Boyd Hogan is watching that. And here we go. Our biggest mover of the race, Mark Love, has moved up in the top 5 from 29 to 5th. That's 24 positions in case any of you can't count. Tyler Pluff moved him way up into 6th. He started 14th. He's got 8 positions on him. Tanner Love, 23rd to 9th. He's got 14 positions ahead of him. We got David Gervais. He started this thing out 21st. He's up to 11th. He's wanting to get himself in the top 10. You got to remember the first 9 cars in this lead, except for the 6th places of the 7 car Wayne Grassi, are on 57 lap tires. Everybody behind them, well, there are still a few cars. There's 10, Chris Johnson, Mike Baker, Tanner Love. They're all on 57, 58 lap tires. Everybody else is on fresher tires. So I think the tire strategy is in place. It looks like James Mullins is sick and tired of being back there in the 3 spot, and he's sick of being in the 2nd spot because he is trying to push it for the lead here for Ashton Crowder. And let's see what Stephen West has done with himself since he's lost the lead. He's fallen back, so whatever changes, well, he didn't pit. So his tires on long run, we can all say, must not be as good as they are on fresh tires. Because we've got the leader, Ashton Crowder, and James Mullins, 22 and the 6, they are checking out. And all James has to do is be cautious. Be cautious and wait for Ashton to make a mistake. That high line is the way to pass. That low line, it's not going to be good for you. Let's check out the battle for 3rd and 4th here. It looks like Boyd Hogan is going to try that low line. He must not be listening. I told him stay off that low line, get to that middle line and the top line. But he's not listening. He's going to put a little pressure on Stephen West. He's going to that low line again, and it's not going to work for him because he's got to back off a lot more than Stephen West does. But they are side by side. Stephen West may back it off a little bit here and let him get by. But Steve, his car in the long run is not looking pretty good here. We got Tyler Pluffin at 21. Let's see if he can go over and take 5th or take 4th away from Stephen West as he's closing up on Stephen as Stephen falls back into this field. David Gervais has now moved himself up into the 8th position. He's moved up 13 spots as he comes around the 7th inside line of Wayne Grassi. Let's watch that race here now again for David Gervais. 6 and 7. And it looks like Wayne Grassi in the 7 is going to switch it there as we come up to the leaders. The leaders are starting to come through lap traffic as they put Brian Johnson in the 4 machine down a lap. We're coming up to the 16 machine of Clifton Cockrell. Ashton Crowder is going to put them on a lap. Now these lap cars are going to play a big role if they're played right. If Ashton Crowder can get in front of the lap cars, oh, we have another caution come out. Oh, that would be our biggest mover of the race. I told you those tires laying underneath you cannot last that long, and that would be the 30 of Mark Love brought up a caution, I'm being told. And he just got a little squirrely. Let's see if he got any help. Let's go back and watch the replay. No, it just looks like he got loose all by himself. I'm watching the replay here. He just took that turn and the rear end just let go on him, and he was able to, almost keep it off the wall. He caught the driver's corner rear on that wall and brought out that caution. Now let's watch the leaders, because from what I'm understanding, we're probably going to see these leaders on the lead lap. They're pitting now. Here's Ashton Crowder in that 30 or 22, a leader. He relinquishes the lead, and James Mullins follows right behind him. And Boyd Hogan, I imagine, is going to do the same. But Boyd stays out. So Boyd must believe that he's got a car that he can do roughly about 80 to 85 to 90 laps maybe. Or is he going to pit? Is Boyd Hogan going to roll the dice and take the lead? We do see, I believe that is the 4 car of Brian Johnson. He's right in front of Boyd Hogan. And don't misunderstand here. Brian Johnson is not on the lead lap. So what he's trying to do right now is get what's called a lucky dog. Right now, Boyd Hogan is on the lead lap. And no, it looks like Brian Johnson don't care about that wave around. Or is he faking it, or is he going to go on the pit road, the Ford machine? No, he's going to go on the pit road. I thought he was going to try to stay it out and get himself a wave around. So now we've just got two cars. The Boyd Hogan and Tanner Love, the 81 and the 14 that are on 71 lap tires presently. It's been 71 laps since their pit crew had grabbed a wrench and changed them tires. What this is going to do, folks, is this is going to cause a dramatic uncurling of an event. We've got fresher tires back there. We've already seen what Stephen West has shown us what he can do on fresher tires. Okay, and he come out of pit road in 6th position. So it's going to be a matter of maybe 10 laps before we're going to see Stephen West up there just bypassing Boyd Hogan like he's in reverse. And look at who my pick to win this race. That's the 83 car of Craig Johnson. Craig Johnson is up 33 spots. But now Craig Johnson last pitted 32 laps ago. So he's sitting, that car number 83 is sitting on 32 lap tires. But if I know Craig, he's going to let some of these guys that want to pass him, he's going to let them pass. Because he's not going to risk it, because he's going to win this race. That's my pick to win. As we get ready to go green again, we have got Boyd Hogan in the 81 machine. Tanner Love on the outside. Behind him will be David Gervais. Behind Tanner Love will be David Gervais. Behind Boyd Hogan will be the 83 of Craig Johnson. And behind them will be James Mullins and Ashton Crowder. So first, second, and third right now. Boyd Hogan, Tanner Love, and Craig Johnson are all on older tires. Everybody else is on freshly new tires. So let's watch and see what David Gervais has moved up from the 21st to 4th can do on this restart. Yeah, Craig Johnson holds his own. He's going to hold his own. It looks like he's trying to go for second spot. Tanner Love. David Gervais is going to sneak up to the high side again, and he's got on the low side of him is Ashton Crowder, I believe. No, that's not Ashton Crowder. They're going to take it 3 wide here. This could not. Oh, they did it. They were able to do it. And that would be a lap car right there, trying to get back on the lead lap up there. As we got Boyd Hogan, Tanner Love wasn't second. It's like James Mullins in that 6 car said, guess what I want? And he took it. And right behind him is going to be the 83 car. Now the 83 car, I believe, is a lap down. No, he's not. That is Craig Johnson. As Craig Johnson takes 3rd position from Tanner Love. Amazing. Great job. Great job. Ashton Crowder is going to take 4th place from Tanner Love, and he does it successfully. And it looks like the 74 is going to follow right behind him with Stephen West, but he's going to wait and pick it out here. They're all on fresher tires. James Mullins, as you've seen, he took the lead, and it hasn't even been 10 laps. And who did he pass? He passed Boyd Hogan on those 80-lap tires. And that old rubber like that is like driving on Jello. It's not very fun, and I imagine Boyd's got his hands full right now. Let's watch Craig Johnson. He's quite a bit back there, but he is a 40-lap fresher tires than Boyd Hogan. As Ashton Crowder is knocking on the back door of Craig Johnson. In that, it looks like Ashton Crowder's in a 22 machine. Sorry for the delay. I just have a problem with like trading paints. It's showing Ashton Crowder on my screen that he's got a 98 paint scheme on there, and his car is number 22. Here's a 7, Wayne Grossi. He snuck himself into this race. He's like, hey guys, I'm here. And he's just moving through the field, picking them off one by one, and he's on some fresh tires. He's only got 12 laps underneath that car. He's got some fresh rubber, and he's working his way through there as he moved himself into third. But it's amazing to see what Craig Johnson can do against Ashton Crowder, who is at one time was leading this race. And we got Stephen West. He's coming back through. I don't know. It looks like we've got Ashton Crowder's getting a little impatient. He's gonna try to beat the back door off. And we got another caution here. Let's find out who caused that wreck here. Looking back to see what happened. It does look like the 11 of Ben Hurst has been involved in this. And it looks like he was going in the bottom, and he kind of got, he got the 24 sideways. He got the, is that the 24? Yeah, he got Kenny Powell a little sideways, not once but twice. He kind of loved on him a little bit. And got him sideways and caused this humongous craziness. The good news is we still have 20 cars on the lead lap as we are almost 1/3 of the way through this race. Let's take a quick break and drop to a commercial right quick, and we'll be right back with you. And as we come back to Bristol with the Chilli 250 here, we're going to look and see Boyd Hogan still is persistently, I don't know if the 81 of Boyd Hogan, I don't know if he knows where pit road is. He's running on 90 lap tires. And he's been able to manage them just fine. It's not like it's hindering him at all. However, he can go about 46 more laps before he has to pit for fuel. And so he may be thinking to himself, hey, I'm going to save my tires for a little bit later on in this race. I'm going to let everybody else use up their tires. So with that in mind, we are looking at the leader, James Mullins in that 6 machine, who has got roughly about 70 lap fresher tires. And you can see how that affects this as we start to restart here. It looks like James Mullins in that 6 machine is pulling away, but Boyd Hogan is not showing that he's driving on 90 lap tires. I mean, he is still able to maintain a 2% or 0.2 of a time difference between him and the leader, James Mullins. So Boyd Hogan is managing his tires really well. And he shouldn't have to worry about it because we're already on caution. We've got the 77 machine that might have been the one that caused this wreck. Let's go back and let's watch that and see what Michael Baker, if he was involved in this or not this time. it does look like the 77 gets a little loose and people check up, and behind him it causes just a disaster. And oh, you have to be kidding me. They took out the 48 for us here. So the 48 was like an innocent bystander, and he causes everybody else to go behind it. So it was like Chris Johnson was involved in that amongst some other drivers here. This is, like I said, this is a battle, guys. These guys are up here, and the reaction time difference for you as a super speedway or even a 1 mile track is a whole lot different. Okay, this track is fish bowls. You know, it's not that big. So when you try to get on here and pass somebody, you've got to pick your spots realistically, because I believe this is like a half mile or not even 3/4 of a mile, and it's mostly corner. You know, you got very short front stretch and back stretch. It's mostly corner. You're mostly always turning left here. I mean, and it's banked tremendously great here. I do not know what the banking is right offhand. Now let's watch as everybody goes down here, and as we're coming up to lap 95. And I think we probably should start seeing Boyd Hogan trying to find pit road. I mean, he's had plenty of opportunities. I'm almost going to say if we have another caution within 30 laps, Boyd Hogan's going to pit around lap 125. I'm going to guess. That's going to be my prediction. We're going to see the 21 car, the 81 car, Boyd Hogan on lap 125 on pit road or sooner. If we have another caution in the next 5 or 6 laps, he may decide, you know what, maybe it's time to do it. We have got a bunch of cars out here with damage. We have got 20 cars on the lead lap. The first car a lap down would be the 12th car of Michael Doyle. As you see, Michael's entering pit road right now. He's got a crunkled up rear, it's like a rear passenger fender and maybe a little bit of that bumper. I don't know if he's getting damage repairs or what, but he's on pit road. Yeah, he must be getting damage repairs. Yeah, he's getting a lot of damage fixed, that 12 car of Michael Doyle. He has to come back out, and he spent, what did he spend on pit road here? Michael Doyle had spent a lovely 37 seconds on pit road, and that could end up, when I say on pit road, that's coming around the transition to go through the other pits as well. He only spent about 14 seconds in his pit, so I don't know what he got done, if he just topped off on fuel or he got some damage fixed. But we got going green again. We got James Mullins gets a great lead again, and Ashton Crowder in that 22 machine, he's going to stay right with Boyd Hogan. But Boyd, somehow, some way, once again, seems to manage to keep second spot. He even seems to be getting better. I mean, I almost going to tell you, but it's hard to believe, maybe Boyd Hogan figures he's not going to change tires ever. It is something to say about Boyd Hogan's setup that he is able to come out on 70 lap plus tires older than everybody else he's racing with and be able to hold off these drivers. We watched the battle between Stephen West and that 74 and that 7 car of Wayne Grossi. As Wayne Grossi is on the bumper of Ashton Crowder in that 22 car. He's trying to get past him as well because he wants third position. But it looks like Stephen West has kind of backed it down just a little bit further in the field. Tyler Pluff is back up here again. Larry Reed, we haven't talked about Larry in a minute. He's in that 19 car. He's in 7th position. Andrew Melvin in that 37 car is in 6th spot. Tanner Love in the 14. As we get around here, it looks like that 21 we were just talking about, Tyler Pluff, he loses the rear end a little bit, catches the wall, and able to keep on going forward. As the 83, he keeps hitting the wall. I mean, he just loves that wall. Be careful there, the 83 of Craig Johnson. You don't want to get involved with any of those guys hitting that wall. We're watching now the 5 machine of David Gervais as he cleanly passes on the inside. It looks like almost Craig Johnson said, you know what, David? I think you're in a hurry. I'm not. I'll let you have it. As he pulls up and lets David Gervais in that 5 machine go below. We got Jordan Profit in that 65 machine. We haven't talked about Jordan all night. He moved from 27th. He's now in the 13th position. He may be one that's thinking, I'm going to keep it clean and get up here as he goes to the inside. It looks like the 48 of Chris Johnson, and Chris Johnson lets him by as he tries to come around Craig Johnson. Craig Johnson in that 83 machine. So we're watching Jordan Profit in that 65 as he meticulously moves his way through the field. And it does look like as we get back up to the front, finally Boyd Hogan concedes. And he's like, guys, I'm running on 109 lap tires. I'm not going to beat myself up and take a chance to wreck myself or wreck you out. Go on and have the position. Because in about 20 laps, I'm going to pit and get fresh tires. And the tables are going to turn. Run 110 laps. So Boyd Hogan is going to run half of this race, I'm guessing, half of this race on one set of tires. So that means he's going to run the other half on another set. I mean, he's only going to run this on 2 set tires. I don't think it's smart. But Boyd Hogan knows what he's doing and knows how his car's handling. I don't. I'm just up here watching him in awe. As a 7 car, he's pretty much not beating on the bumper of Boyd Hogan, but he's there. And we've got Larry Reed, that 19 car. He's on the inside of Wayne Grassi. And he wants that position from the 7. And he might get it. These guys are side by side. He did take it. The 37 is going to move himself up here. Andrew Melvin. Andrew Melvin goes to the inside of the 7. And he wants that position. The 7's caught behind Boyd Hogan. Boyd Hogan is keeping the field back on the top line. So the 7's not able to get around him on the low line. And that's causing a big traffic jam for him. 7 is patiently waiting. But he's not going to wait much longer. He may end up moving Boyd Hogan, giving him a little friendly tap and get him out of his way. Because every time a driver gets passed on the low side of that 7 car, another driver comes up and closes that spot. As you watch, and the 14 car of Tanner Love comes right up there. As we've got a car, it looks like he's blowing up down here. He's got off the track, so it's not going to bring out a caution. But we do get low. We got the 37. Looks like he was extremely loose there. Andrew Melvin. Somehow he corrected it and still able to go. That was an amazing save with that 37 of Andrew Melvin. He may have lost a spot or two, but that's all right. He didn't meet the wall by accident, and that's all that matters in tonight's race. If you can keep your car clean, you stand a chance on winning. That's the big event. As we got a lap car here, we've got a 12 car that's in everybody's way. And that's Michael Doyle. Everybody's trying to check up and get around him, and they do that safely. Let's go back further in the field. Let's watch a battle between Michael Eames and Jordan Profit. The 3 car and the 65 car with the 8 car behind. Well, it's an 8 car, but I think it's really Clifton. No, it is. That's a lap down car. That is a lap down car, I believe that 8 car is. Yeah, that's Jay Felton. Jay Felton is not typically ones we'll be talking about that are lap down. But now we've got 120 laps in, and we only have 15 drivers on the lead lap. As we watch James Mullins, our leader in that 6 machine, putting these guys a lap down and a lap down as he comes around the 13 car. He wants to put Brian Hubble a lap down. That puts 13 cars on the lead lap. Now we're talking about a Bristol race. If you finish a Bristol race with more than half the field not down a lap, you didn't race more than 20 laps at Bristol. James Mullins has checked out. He is literally checked out. He is about 7.5 seconds in front of second place Ashton Crowder. The lap cars were not friendly to Ashton Crowder, and James Mullins used that to his advantage to have an 8-second gap. We're talking about half a racetrack between first and second place. So now if James Mullins can just avoid any lap cars that he wants to pass in front of him from wrecking out, he'll be in the catbird seat here. But the 74 looks like he's going to the inside of Ashton Crowder, and he gets that spot. He goes to the low side, and I thought he was going to cut his nose off, and he does kind of cut his nose off to get that position and secure it. As the 19 machine, Larry Reed, is going to try to follow in Stephen West's footsteps and come around the inside of Ashton Crowder. Ashton Crowder. I'll get it right. Ashton Crowder. Now, it does take Larry Reed, goes in the third spot around Ashton Crowder in that 22 machine. Let's watch David Gervais, see if he's going to do the same thing. As he does, everybody so Ashton Crowder might be having a little issue with the driving on that car right now. As we watch the 14 machine of Tanner Love, he's on the inside. As the leader, his pole is almost a 9-second gap between him and second place Stephen West. The battle is really interesting on what's going on here from, looks like, fifth on back. Tyler Pluff has moved up into this, and he wants to take away 6 from Ashton. We're not going to focus on James Moore as the leader right now, because right now he's got a little ways to go before he gets up there to 11th spot, and that would be Wayne Grossi. So let's go ahead and watch what's going on between David Gervais. He's got himself back up into the top 3. It's a great run for David. He started this race out in 21st, and right now at this present moment, he is the biggest mover of the race. Behind him is Tanner Love, starting himself out in 23rd. He is in 4th. We're watching this. Yeah, Boyd Hogan. His no tire stop now as he's running on some tires that are up there. I mean, he's got 133 laps on these tires. He's going to have to pit. That 81 car is going to have to pit, but he might get a caution here. It looks like David Gervais, and that might be, is that Craig Johnson? That looks like Craig Johnson might pick to win the race. Boyd Hogan is going to get his opportunity to find pit road right now. And unless we can look back, I'm getting word that Boyd Hogan, oh no, he was involved in that. The 37 got a piece of him. And that might have taken a good race away from Boyd Hogan and a good strategy. But that's what you do. You roll the dice. And I'm not pretty sure on what caused that wreck. Here. It does look kind of like some people got a little squirrely trying to pass and weren't clear. Yeah, it kind of looks like David Gervais kind of went down low a little bit and maybe got a little squirrely. And when he checked up, his car went right up into Craig Johnson right there in that 83 machine. I have to watch the replay a little bit closer before I pass judgment on that, but I'm going to say it looks like a racing incident. That's pretty much what Boyd Hogan needed to see, because he needed 137 laps. He needed to. As we see, here's Boyd Hogan. Boyd Hogan is coming on pit road. He's going to get on them fresh tires. Looks like James Mullins, the leader, says that he's on the pit road. He wants some fresh tires. Let's go ahead and take a real quick caution real quick. And now we're coming back to Bristol in the Chilli 250 with the iRacing Stock Car Association. Looks like Larry Reed is going to pull Boyd Hogan this time. He's going to stay out on 68 lap tires as Boyd Hogan comes out in second. And Boyd, we already seen what he can do on 130 lap tires. We really know what's going to happen here on fresh tires. So let's watch Boyd Hogan and James Mullins. I believe they're going to be running up there as well. Let's see what happens here. Looks like Boyd Hogan has came back down pit road again. So he may not be up there with the leaders right now. He's on pit road, and he is going to go down a lap down. So that could take Boyd Hogan. Unless he stays and gets a lucky dog, that could take him one lap down. And what's difficult here at Bristol, if you're, and they're going green right now, so Boyd Hogan is going to go 2 laps down. This might take him out of the race. I say might because this is Bristol, baby. Anything can happen. Larry Reed, he graciously gives James Mullins in that 6 machine second or first. And it looks like Stephen West is going to come through this field. Wayne Grassie's going to take second away from Larry Reed, who again is on 71 lap tires at this moment. Let's see where Tanner Love. It doesn't look like Wayne Grassie is liking those tires too much. You know, Tanner Love is thinking he likes them. I mean, they're on fresh tires, but Larry Reed is absolutely not loving his 73 lap tires as he's getting past, and he is relinquishing spots. That 37 machine is pretty graciously. He's not trying to battle these guys. He knows he's on old tires. He does not want to battle them too much, so he's giving it to them. Larry Reed in that 19 machine is letting them by easily. As I'm watching, I'm just kind of clicking through the field here and kind of seeing what's going on. David Gervais was involved in that wreck earlier. He is on, I believe David Gervais is 1 or 2 laps down at this present point here. That 5 machine is not very happy, the driver of that car right now. No, David Gervais is not a lap down at all. He was able to manage to stay on the lead lap in 7th position. We only have 12 cars on the lead lap, and that ends with Brian Hubble in that 13 machine. And I hear some beating and bagging going on behind David Gervais. I'm trying to see if I could find out what's going on here. I think I heard some wrecking going on behind me. It does look like the 90 and the 65. The 65 might have been a late reaction, but it does look like the 30 car. Oh, Mark Love again. Mark Love did very well. He started this race out strong. You watch as he's the biggest mover at one point, 2 laps down, and he basically just loses it all by himself again. And it does again. He just, 30 car Mark Loves looks like he gets on the low line there, and he gets a little early, checks up to the right, and just loses it, goes right in the wall, and he ends up taking out some drivers. Surprisingly, the damage model here is not got these cars where they should be parked and taking them to the garage. But it does look like we do have a John Mullins. He takes his car to the garage and calls it a night, and that's the 64 car. Go back up here and kind of see if anybody. Tanner Love looks like he's going to bring his 14 machine down pit road as he enters the pits. And that's he relinquishes spot 5, P5 over to Larry Reed in that 19 machine. And looks like Larry Reed has found his way to pit road. And he's got him some fresh rubber underneath that. That's going to be some good year, and it's going to be a good day for him now. As he was fast without that, let's see how fast he is now. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th are all on 14 and 14 and older tires. So it's not like they're riding around on really worn out tires. We already know what Boyd Hogan can do on worn out tires, but Boyd Hogan is out of contention. He is still sitting. I think Boyd Hogan is now he is 1 lap down. So what we're going to see with Boyd Hogan, we're going to have to keep an eye on Boyd. He's in that 81 machine. He has got to pass Kenny Powell in the 24, 48 of Chris Johnson, 65 of Jordan Profit, the 14 of Tanner Love, and I believe that's it in order to get back on the lead or get back to contention for a lucky dog. Now let's just get him a lucky dog. That's not getting him back on the lead lap. The lucky dog is what happens on the next caution in 5 or 6 laps. He'll be able to get a wave around the leader and get back on the lead lap and start working himself, starting from the back of the field back to the front, back through all these drivers he's already passed. Some would think that's an easy feat, but again, I tell you, this is a half-mile track, and to get around these guys that are losing control left and right and try to keep yourself from being involved in that wreck is not very easy. So right now is when Boyd Hogan is going to show some talent here and see how well what he's made of. He comes back off pit road right now, and he still stays 1 lap down as he comes out before the leaders. And we're getting ready to go green again here, and we've got James Mullins in that 6 machine on the inside. It looks like Wayne Grossi's on the outside. Behind James Mullins is going to be the 37 of Andrew Melvin. And then we've got Tyler Pluff up in this mix. So first, second, third, and fourth. Let's see how this restart goes. The preferred line, it does appear for James Mullins, is the low line. But it looks like Wayne Grossi is doing very well on that 7 machine on the high line. So he's going to give him a run for his money, but he is falling back quite a bit. And James Mullins just checks out. It's almost like Wayne Grossi didn't switch gears. 37 Andrew Melvin's on the inside, passing him for second. And it looks like here we go. We got Ashton Crowder. He comes past for third. Tyler Pluff's in there. Tyler Pluff wants to take that 4th position away from Wayne Grosky in that 7 car. And again, we've got Larry Reed in the 19 car. He's still staying up here in 6th position. Clifton Cockrell in 7th. 8th, Michael Weems. 9th, David Gervais. To run out the top 10 will be Tanner Love. And that is, we've got 11 cars on the lead lap. The last car on the lead lap will be the 13 machine of Brian Hubble. Everybody behind Brian Hubble is racing to get back on the lead lap for the lucky dog position. As I told you, Boyd Hogan is racing it, and he's wanting to get past Chris Johnson in that 48 machine for the lucky dog contention. Right now, Kenny Powell in that 24 machine is your lucky dog. If the caution would come out now, he would be the lucky dog. So Boyd Hogan needs to get in front of 2 more cars, Chris Johnson in the 48 and the 24 of Kenny Powell, in order to become contendant for the lucky dog in any event. Well, not any event, when another caution happens. And we've got some pretty tight racing going on in front of Boyd Hogan up here. And let's go back to the lead. It looks like Andrew Melvin is taking 2nd spot, and he is the 37 machine is coming up rather close and fighting with Ashton Crowder in that 22 machine for 2nd. And this is what James Mullins wants to see. But sitting in front of James Mullins is already a lap down car. Boyd Hogan has got he's became past Chris Johnson at 48 machine. Now he's got his eyes on that 20 machine of Kenny Powell. If he can get around Kenny Powell and a caution comes out, he will be a lucky dog. And what that does mean, when that caution comes out, he will get around the leaders and come back on and become, back on the lead lap. So you can watch Kenny Powell's race against, and there it is, Kenny Powell. Kenny Powell is the victor in that. The 24 is going to become the lucky dog. He's going to get back on the lead lap. Now what that does, if Boyd Hogan stays out, is that going to leave Boyd Hogan? It's going to leave him. It's going to leave him on the lead lap. Now our wreck involved some of our top 5 cars, I'm hearing. So let's see what's going on here. It looks like That is Ashton Crowder and the 37, I believe. Yeah, it looks like almost absolutely something crazy there. It looks like Ashton Crowder turned left, turned right, caught the 37 machine, and caused that caution to come out. I don't know what that is. It does look like tensions have raised here. We are coming up to less than 100 laps. So we're going to take another commercial break, and we're going to come back. We'll see you shortly. And we are on caution. I lost count. This is probably 12th or 13th caution. I'm not pretty positive right now. But we do have a lucky dog that went around, and that's Kenny Powell. Kenny Powell got himself around. They got the lucky dog, and that's going to leave Chris Johnson and Boyd Hogan battling. And Boyd Hogan needs to get in front of Chris Johnson in order to get the lucky dog contention. Boyd Hogan pits again. He's probably fixing a little bit more damage. And now we've got 11 cars back on the lead lap here. Let's go back and watch this race restarts right quick. It's going to start this time, I believe this time by lap 169. And we're going to watch a humongous jump here from James Mullins, but I think Wayne Grassi in that 7 car, he sees what he did last time. He's not going to let him do it, but yet he does. And the 21, Tyler Pluff, he gets a humongous run. It just looks like the 7th car restarts. The tires are not sticking. I don't know if he's picking the wrong gear or what, but he's able to maintain. Once they get rolling, he's able to maintain it. Hey, we got another caution already. This is going to be a long night. We've got 80 laps left, drivers. Let's calm it down there. 80 laps. Let's go back here a little bit. I'm going to take another commercial break and be right back with you. Welcome back to Bristol. Sorry about that short delay. I had to get a refreshment. So it's a lot of talking going on tonight as we got a lot of action going on here. And now we've got Chris Johnson. He was the lucky recipient of that lucky dog, that quick 2-lap caution that just occurred. That puts Boyd Hogan in contention. If we have another quick caution, he'll be back on the lead lap. And let's see how Kenny Powell got back on the lead lap, and he was able to get himself in the top 10, which we have 12 cars on the lead lap. So that's a big feat. As we presently talk, it does look like the biggest mover of the race is going to be Clifton Cockrell at the present moment. Clifton Cockrell in that 16 machine has started this race out in 26th position, and he is all the way up to 5th already. He's moving through the field. These guys are doing the best they can on a half-mile track, guys. Half-mile track. We've got, obviously we've got about 75 laps left of this race. The tensions have grown. These drivers are getting impatient because you can do roughly about 3 to 4 laps in a minute. Okay, so they run real quick. They got clicking off real quick here. So realistically, this race can be done within 20 minutes if these guys keep themselves together and not cause another caution. Is that going to happen? If you're a betting individual, the odds are I'd bet on not. The cautions have not ended. We're going to see roughly a couple, 2 or 3 more. I wish I could say we weren't, but I think we're going to. We are going to go back, I believe, green the next time we go by, as we got Tyler Pluff has moved himself into 2nd position, and he's going to try to learn from the 7 machine of Wayne Grossi. Now the 7 is on the inside right behind James Mullen. Maybe that's his preferred line all along, and he doesn't like that high line. We're about to see how this race restarts and see if that's the facts. As we get ready to go green, we're going to see the pace car roll off to the left there, and these guys are going to go green. And again, James Mullins gets a humongous jump. And it looks like Tyler Pluff is like, guess what? It's not going to work. It doesn't appear like the 7 machine likes the top line or the low line. He just doesn't like a restart at all. He'd prefer this race go green all the way so he can start getting his momentum built up. David Gervais is in there, and he's going to race against the high side against that 7 machine of Wayne, and he is still fighting. He's not quite clear as he's clear now. So David Gervais is the biggest mover so far in this race. He's moved up from 21st to 4th. That is a tremendous run tonight for the 5 machine of David Gervais. We still have moving up into contention here. He wants to be the biggest mover in the top 10, and that right now he's holding that, and that is Clifton Cockrell in that 16 machine, who started 26th, and he's now 6th. In case you can't do the math, that's 20 positions. Clifton Cockrell has moved up. He just dropped down in his 19th position. It does look like Boyd Hogan is steadily strong, holding on to that lucky dog in the event or when another caution occurs. Now what that's going to do is Boyd's only possibility of not becoming the lucky dog is in the event that James Mullins passes another car and puts him a lap down. But he has to pass Chris Johnson in order for Boyd Hogan not to get the lucky dog in the event of another wreck happens here. We're just kind of panning through the field here, kind of see where the action is at. There's not much going on up in the front, but there is some going on with the 14 of Tanner Love and the 7 of Wayne Grossi. They're trying to fight for a position, and behind him is Stephen West back in the picture, which he's still a lap down. He's battling with the lead lap car of Clifton Cockrell. I don't know what's going to benefit Stephen West by doing this. Stephen West is 4 laps down. For him to race a lead lap car like this, that's just how he wants to run. But to me, I don't know if I would do that. He has nothing to gain to get in front of a lead lap car at this present point. I've raced this Bristol race, and when you're down 4 laps, it's next to impossible to get back up on the lead lap. So you've got to be kind of courteous to your other drivers that are on the lead lap around here. Now here comes the 24 machine, and that is Kenny Powell. And remember, Kenny Powell is on the lead lap, and he's right now running 8, and that is for a position between him and the 16 car Clifton Cockrell. As we watch the 24 machine, heavily damaged, trying to work his right spot to pass the 16 machine of Clifton Cockrell. As he goes to high side, it looks like Clifton kind of lets off a little bit and lets Kenny by there as Kenny motors on by. We've got the 13 machine would be the next one to try to get past Clifton Cockrell. Every car between the 13 and the 16 are lap cars. That's where the confusion is going to go in, guys. We've got only 11 cars on the lead lap. Everybody, the only cars on the lead lap presently are the leader, James Mullins, second place, Tyler Pluff, third place, Larry Reed, fourth place, David Gervais, fifth, Wayne Grassi, sixth, Tanner Love, seventh, Kenny Powell, eighth will be Clifton Cockrell, ninth is Brian Hubble, and looks like 10th would be Chris Johnson, 11th is Michael Eames. He's worked himself back up into the lead lap. Those are the only cars that are on the lead lap right now. Everybody behind the 3 car of Michael Eames is a lap down. And here goes the 6 car just putting Michael Eames a lap down. So what that means is now we have a race between Boyd Hogan and the 3 machine of Michael Eames. And the gap between those two are 7 seconds. So Boyd has 7 seconds in order to get back in contingent for the lucky dog and get back on the lead lap. And then he hopes to finish this race up in the top 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right now, Boyd Hogan is sitting steadily in 12th position. And it does look like Boyd Hogan is closing in that gap between him and Michael Eames by about 3/10 every lap. So it's going to take roughly about 8, 9, 10 laps before he gets up to Michael Eames. In the event a caution doesn't come out. Now we are running at lap 194. Okay, 194. That means we've got 60 laps, roughly, give or take a few, in order to get back on the lead lap and stand a chance to get up to the leaders. Can Boyd Hogan do it? He can do it. He's running on 23 lap tires as the leader. James Mullins is running on 58 lap tires. I don't believe there's a snowball's chance that Boyd Hogan can get up there and get back on the lead lap on his own. He's just going to have to get that lucky dog position. And right now he's still 5 seconds behind Michael Eames in that 3 machine. James Mullins has checked out. He has punched his "I'm taking away and leaving" card. He is almost 3 seconds ahead of second place in that 19 of Larry Reed, as Larry Reed battles with David Gervais in that 3rd spot in that number 5 machine. But James Mullins is battling his way through these lap cars, and these lap cars can either A, be courteous and give him a free, clear path to pass him, or they can battle him. It's their choice. This is a race. There's no gentleman's agreement on what they have to do here. They can, they can generously pull aside and let him by without losing any speed or momentum on their own race, or they can just race in front of him. That's up to them. It looks like he's came past 2 lap cars, graciously pulling over and letting him by. As the gap racing between the lucky dogs with Michael Eames and Boyd Hogan has closed down to 3.5 seconds. That's closing in quite a bit. As it looks like we have another person in contention. So now Boyd Hogan has to get past the 13 machine of Brian Hubble, which he is roughly 7, 8, 9 seconds behind him. Okay, so now we only have 8 cars, and we just got Clifton Cockrell got put a lap down. We have 7 cars on the lead lap. More and more that James Mullins runs this race, the more and more it looks like there's not a single snowball's chance in hell that Boyd Hogan's going to get back on the lead lap. Now, as we drive through this and we're watching James Mullins, it looks like he has got 7 cars in lead lap, and his next car he has to pass is Wayne Grassi in that 7 machine. And he is not too far. Well, he's literally about 10 seconds behind him. Yeah. We had a tremendous battle that was won by the 19 machine against the 5 of David Gervais for second position. They are 5 seconds behind the leader. Okay, and behind them in 4th is Tanner Love, 2.3 seconds. Behind Tanner Love, 1.8 seconds. In 5th is Tyler Pluff. Behind Tyler Pluff in 3.1 seconds is Kenny Powell. Behind Kenny Powell, sitting in 7th, trying to save himself from going a lap down, will be Wayne Gretzky. And if you can do the math, it looks like the leader is coming up to put Wayne Gretzky down a lap within roughly about 4 seconds. If he continues the path he's going, James Mullen will have only 5 cars on a lead lap. As he just, matter of fact, I'm sorry, he did put James down. He is closing in and trying to put Kenny Powell down a lead lap. Or down a lap. As he's slowly creeping up on Kenny Powell in that 24 machine, he'll end up putting him down a lap, and then Kenny will be once again back fighting for a lucky dog. As you can now see, Kenny Powell is 2 cars in front of the leader, the 6 car, in that 24 machine. So it's James Mullins has 1 more car to pass here. It looks like it's the 90 machine of Ron Hollyfield, and now he has got a clear shot to put the 24 machine a lap down, leaving 5 cars on the lead lap. And it looks like Kenny Powell is going to do the gentleman's agreement and go high and let the leader go by, and that's going to make it so there's only 5 cars on the lead lap. Now when we look at that, we're not talking about 5 cars and 1,000,000 miles away is the next car. We're talking about knocking on the door of Tyler Pluff in that 21 machine is James Mullins. James Mullins is in that cluster right up there, right in front of the leaders. And I'm going to predict there's going to be a wreck with these cars because they are all getting together and they're doing what they can, knowing they've only got 35 laps to stay in front of this leader. They do not want to go another lap down. So I predict we're going to see somebody up here losing control as Tyler Pluff is right on the radar of James Mullins. That 21 machine is right in front of James Mullins as they went 3 wide there, right in front of James Mullins. And it looks like James is going to go high, but he sees a cluster in front of him. These guys are racing to stay not on the lead lap, they're just racing to stay in front of the leader. Tyler Pluff has now been put a lap down. He's the first car in a lucky dog, and he needs to get, it's got to pass the 74. He gets past him. James Mullins comes past that traffic miraculously, and there's literally 8 seconds between first place James Mullins and second place David Gervais. David's got to get around those guys that James Mullins just got around. But he only has to worry about what's in front of him, as there's only himself and 3 other cars on the lead lap. Literally 3 other cars besides the leader on the lead lap. So if or when James Mullins can get around the 14 car of Tanner Love, there will be 3 cars on the lead lap. And you can count on one hand how many cars are on the lead lap. That's how bad this race has been for a lot of these drivers. It's been a rough race. A lot of these guys, more than half the field, have damage. And that interferes with the driving ability of these cars. And I do want to say this probably is the longest green flag stint we've had in this whole race. As we now look, James Mullins is driving through this field with 13 laps older tires than second place David Gervais. He is on 84 lap tires. At this moment, the leader is James Mullins. So in the event a caution comes out right now, which we're clicking off laps, we've got less than 27 laps to go. I can expect to see James Mullins and maybe David Gervais, Larry Reed, those drivers, depending on how many laps we got to the end of the race, pitting. If we have a green-white checkered, I'm almost going to say that James Mullins is probably going to pit.
because at that point he's going to have over 100 laps on his tires. We've got a battle for third back in the field here a little bit between Larry Reed and Tanner Love. It looks like Tanner Love comes out victorious. He gives a knockout blow to Larry Reed, but Larry Reed's not going to go to his corner and wipe his blood off his face. He's going to keep on fighting. And again, we reiterate, everybody in this race you're watching right now but the top four. James Mullins in the lead, David Gervais in the 5 car in second place, Tanner Love in third place, Larry Reed in fourth place. Those are the only drivers right now that are on the lead lap. Lucky dog right now is a 21 of Tyler Pluff, and Tyler Pluff is fighting with Kenny Powell to keep that lucky dog. And it looks like Kenny Powell is closing in on Tyler Pluff because he wants to get back on the lead lap and finish this thing in the top 5. So if Kenny Powell in that 24 machine can get around the 21 machine of Tyler Pluff before this next wreck happens, he could be the recipient of the lucky dog. However, what 24 has to do, Mr. Kenny Powell, is has to avoid hitting the wall consistently every turn he makes, as he doesn't appear like he has the ability to do so. But it does look like the 21 machine sees that behind him, and he lets Kenny Powell by. So that does put Kenny Powell back in the bird dog seat for a lucky dog. So any event of caution comes out right now, Kenny Powell would be the lucky dog. He'll get the wave around back on the lead lap. As we watch the 19 machine trying to pick and choose his lanes to get around these lap cars, he's can't imagine what's going through his mind at this moment, because there is and guess what? The 19 car just went a lap down. James Mullins just put the 19 car a lap down, I believe. I just seen him pass him. So I believe James Mullins just passed Larry Reed and put him a lap down. So Kenny Powell is no longer in contention. What does that make, in case you weren't keeping track? 3 cars on the lead lap. As 3 wide, James Mullins splits the field in front of him, them lap cars. Everybody holds their lines. So now, no, I'm mistaken. Tanner Love is a lap down now as well. So that means the battle is between James Mullins and that 5 machine. If James Mullins could somehow, some way, put David Gervais a lap down in this 5 machine, that would mean that James Mullins could potentially win this race in the event nothing else happens. Hypothetically, win this race the only car on the lead lap. James Mullins and David Gervais. David Gervais is the only thing standing in James Mullins' way, besides these lap cars, preventing James Mullins from winning this race, being the only car on the lead lap. And as you can see, not too far off the camera there, in front of James Mullins is David Gervais in that 5 machine. So if David can stay for 12 more laps, 11 more laps in front of James Mullins and keep that 74 machine of Stephen West between them, he will still finish on the lead lap in second place. But I'm going to say it does not appear like that's going to happen. It does look very possible that James Mullins is going to finish this Chilli's 250 at Bristol Motor Speedway with iRacing Stock Car Association race tonight, being the only car on the lead lap. This might be the first time this has ever happened in this league. We've had maybe 2 or 3 cars on the lead lap, the rest of the field down. We've not finished a race that I know of where there's only been 1 car on the lead lap. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if 1 car is on the lead lap and the race is over, that means the leader is the only one on the lead lap. And I don't know if David Gervais has caught himself up in some lap traffic, and he's got to be frustrated. Right now, David Gervais is saying, please, somebody wreck, because I am about to go a lap down. somebody needs to wreck, and they need to wreck now. So if anybody ever wanted a caution right now, it is David Gervais in that 5 machine. Even though he's finishing in 2nd position, he doesn't want to give the opportunity to James Mullins to be in the broadcast booth taking the winner's trophy, saying, I'm the only car on the lead lap. David Gervais doesn't want that. He wants to join James Mullins as 2nd place driver and say, I'm the 2nd car. I finished 2nd, and I'm the 2nd car on the lead lap. Now what David Gervais is doing, very smart there, is he uses that 16 car, that lap car, to kind of hold up James Mullins. Because all he has to do is hold him up for another 4 laps. So if he can use these lap cars, and there it is, David Gervais is got the answer he was looking for. That is going to put Tanner Love, I believe, in the 14 machine, gets the lucky dog. So James Mullins, you are going to set history in the iRacing Stock Car Association, and somebody met somebody by accident to prevent that from happening. So when we go back green, we're going to have 3 cars on the lead lap. 3 cars. The only way we'd have more than 3, guys, is if in the event, let's say James Mullins, David Gervais, and Tanner Love all pitted. That would put these 1 lap and more drivers down, and they would be able to get what they call a wave around. And they'd be able to go around the pace car, go around the leaders, and they would get their lap back. It does look like James Mullins is going to pit. Now, is David Gervais going to pit? Or is David Gervais thinking to himself, I'm only going to have probably a green-white checkered? That's my green-white checkered. This is a very important decision for David Gervais. Tanner Love does not have a decision. Okay? He's not going to, and it does look like David Gervais is going to pit. He's thinking to himself, maybe if I have fresh tires, because David Gervais is sitting on 97 lap tires too. Maybe if I have fresh tires, I stand a better chance of getting in front of James Mullins. But if you've been watching this race, as I've been watching this race, you're going to see that James Mullins gets a drive off on the restarts that no other driver has been able to obtain. Now, Tanner Love is going to be in this mix. Okay, remember, he was a lap down. He got the lucky dog. However, he's on 83 lap tires. We can't count that out because we seen earlier what Boyd Hogan did on 83 lap tires. So, depending on Tanner Love's setup, if it's competitive to Boyd Hogan, he may be able to pull off a upset and take away James Mullins, not only his win, but take away his bragging rights, saying that I only left 3 cars on the lead lap. Whoever wins this race is I'm being told that we've got 2 cars on a wave around situation here. That's going to put 5 cars on the lead lap, which means that those drivers had gotten in front of the leaders before they got to the start-finish line after they pitted. That gave them the ability to be behind the pace car in front of the leaders, gave them a wave around potential. Now that's only going to be the contingent drivers for that will be the the 5th place position of Kenny Powell and the 19 of Larry Reed. Those 2 have now made it back on the lead lap. So out of all that, the biggest move of the race right now as we talk is going to be the David Gervais in that 21 machine. He's moved 16. Nope, it's Tanner Love. He went from 23rd to 3rd. And then we have Kenny Powell went from 20th to 15th, and then David Gervais in 2nd place is 21st to 19th. So we have some pretty miraculous deals as we're going to watch this restart, because this ought to be something for you guys to watch and keep your eye closely on the leaders here. That's going to be James Mullins and David Gervais. And behind them is going to be Tanner Love and Larry Reed. Now, I'm sure David Gervais has went to school already, the 17 cautions we've had previously, and seen that Mike Mullins has just took right off. And he didn't even bother pressing the gas. David Gervais just said, you know what, I know what you're going to do, but I'm not going to react to it. As James Mullins gets a half a second gap. The only way that David Gervais could possibly get his hands on James Mullins at this moment as we come across to finishing this race is for James Mullins to run out of gas. And the odds of that happening are about the same odds of me getting the winning lotto numbers Saturday. It ain't going to happen. You're looking at your leader and your winner, that number 6 machine, James Mullins. A miraculous second place finish with the biggest move of the race would be 5 car of David Gervais. Finishing third would be Tanner Love. Fourth, Larry Reed. Fifth, Kenny Paul. And Boyd Hogan, he comes up into 6th. As he's still a lap down, but he comes into 6th. 7th would be Wayne Grassi. 8th is Mike Eames. 9th will be Tyler Pluff. 10th is Andrew Melvin. That rounds off your top 10. 11th place will be Brian Hubble. 12th, Chris Johnson. 13th, Jaden Profit. 14th, Clifton Cockrell. 15th, Season Keith. 16th, Jay Felton. 18th is the 74 of Stephen West. 18th, 17th was 74 Stephen West. 18, the 96 Jeffrey Smith. And the 4 car of Brian Johnson rounds out your 19. And rounding out the top 20 is your 12 car of Michael Doyle. Finish in the back of the field here is going to be, let me get this. So we got Michael Doyle. We got the 90 of Ron Hollyfield, 83 of Craig Johnson, Ben Hurst, Ashton Crowder, James Crawlabali, the Mark Love, Michael Baker, Eric Kling, John Mullins II, Michael Knight, Jeff Barnes, Jeff Burton, Curtis Sawyer, Paul Olson, and that rounds out your top cars there. And 20, what do you get? 34 cars. We had one heck of a race tonight, guys, and we're about ready to see if we can get hold of the leaders of this race as we momentarily take a break, and we'll be right back with you. And let's see if we can talk to our third place driver, Tanner Love. Tanner Love, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. How's it going, guys?
Tanner Love, walk us through the Bristol race. What did you think was happening? How in the world did you end up finishing third, starting this race out in what, 23rd?
Yeah, I'm still asking myself the same question, to be honest with you. But it was a great run. Had a good car. Got caught up in that little checkup there, that one caution. I don't know remember what lap it was at, but had some engine damage, and I was just trying to fix as much as I could, stay on the lead lap, and just hope for the best. And I'll take a P3.
Yeah, P3 is nothing to sneeze about in this race when you're talking about only 5 cars finished on the lead lap. I mean, that's pretty amazing. That caution kind of helped you out, didn't it not? You were down a lap before the caution came out, were you?
Right. Yeah. So I was the lucky dog there, that last caution. So, put me into the pack, but at least it solidified at least P3, with that being the final green white checkered.
Well, that's a great run. You got any sponsors or team affiliations or anything you want to go ahead and thank? Well, you got a free spot. The mic is yours, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys putting this on. Everybody there at Legacy and all the guys, we work hard every week. So, great race there, James, David. Great race there. It was a lot of fun, and appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, buddy, and thank you for putting on a fantastic fight for us tonight and coming up third. Let's see if we can get all the second place, which is actually the first loser, David Gervais in at 5. David Gervais, you got your copy?
Yes, sir.
David Gervais, you are the man with the largest move in the race from 21st to 2nd. How did we do it, bud? Walk me through it here.
Just patience more than anything. This track takes a lot of patience. I got in the back of the 83. It was not intentional by no means. It just seemed like he checked up in the middle of the corner, and I wasn't expecting it. But we had a pretty good long run car.
Well, that's Bristol, baby. If you ain't bumping and hitting and slamming, you ain't racing at Bristol. You, for a moment there, we thought we were going to watch James Mullins be the only car to finish this race on the lead lap. What was your thought when you seen him behind you? I'm saying you were praying for a caution. Were you praying for a caution, David?
No, I mean, I was, but I was more in the blocking mode. I wasn't going to let him get by me. He was going to have to move me to get by me.
So you were going to allow him to move you. You finished this race in second place, which is a feat beyond belief because, again, I reiterate, you started in the back of this field and moved yourself up to finish this race in second. You were willing to risk that James Mullins was going to move you and take you out of second place rather than let him patiently drive past you. You weren't going to move along and let him go by?
Oh, no. I've raced with James a lot of times. He's moved me before. He does it safely. I know how he races. I've raced with him for a long time.
Well, David, you put on a hell of a performance tonight, and it was enjoyable to. I appreciate you coming up through the field like you do, and you were the biggest mover. And not only congratulations on finishing on the lead lap. You got any sponsors or any team affiliations you wanted to go ahead and give a shout?
Car where it was, we was pretty bad at the beginning of the run. So, yeah, I'd like to thank my team for it.
Okay, David, everybody watching this show has no idea what team you drive for, so you're going to have to tell us.
Oh, DHR. I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah.
We don't.
If you leave it for me to guess, I'm going to say, something else. But go ahead and thank your sponsors, and maybe if you have anybody to help you with a setup or anything, give them a shout out. The mic is yours. Get your 5 seconds of fame right quick.
Yeah, Corey and Guy Seals, they did a really good job. We worked a couple nights on this trying to get the car to loosen up on the long run. We were getting real tight. So, and me making adjustments all race long, it really helped the car. So, yeah, I'd like to thank DHR, which is Dark Horse Racing.
They did a tremendous job for you tonight as you finished second. Congratulations, David. That's one heck of a feat at Bristol. Let's see if I can get a hold of our race winner, James Mullins. Mr. Mullins, do you have a copy?
I sure do, man.
James Mullins. I think I've talked to you before in this position, have I not?
Yeah, talked to me at Dover, I believe. Pretty good race that was.
James, for a second there, I'm watching this race as we got about 5 laps to go, and I'm thinking to myself, it looks like David Gervais is going to go down a lap, and James Mullins is, in the history of iRacing Stock Car Association, is going to pull off something that's never happened before, and that's finish a race with being the only car on the lead lap. Were you thinking the same thing?
I didn't know that was would have been the first time, but hell yeah, I was going to try to pass David. I mean, wasn't anybody else?
Now, David's telling me that he was going to race you really hard, and you're going to have to. Was that an option in your mind, or are you too clean of a driver to get a bumper to him?
Move David. I would have raced him cleanly. Maybe the last lap out of 4 or something, I might have given him the bump, but I definitely wouldn't have did it. Ain't no way. I mean, I wouldn't. That'd be kind of a bad move on my part to wreck him out of second. You know what I mean? That'd be kind of, if it was real life, that'd be fist fighting for me.
Yeah, you wreck him out of second, okay, and you take a chance to wreck yourself out of lead, and guess who moves up? Tanner Love, and he gets the win. So I was kind of hoping you was going to say that. You did some clean racing, and you kind of picked and choose at moments. I thought you were going to get caught up in some lap traffic and have a problem, but you seemed to move your way through that.
Yeah, I tried to be a little patient with everybody. I mean, seemed like some guys was having a little trouble, like worrying about what line to run and stuff. But me, if I'm leading, I'd rather for you to just stay wherever you're comfortable at.
And that's the way you need to be run. This is a rough track, but you seem to manage it just well as you won this race. 5 cars, 1 of 5 cars on the lead lap. Congratulations, James. You got any team affiliations? Anybody you want to thank for tonight's racing performance?
Yeah, Team Next has been strong. Well, ever since I went over there, we really picked up the A-car program, and we've been working hard. Me and James Wenzel put a lot of laps on the setup this week. It's really stout. We got a really good setup up under us. And just really fun race, guys. I'd like to thank you guys for doing the broadcast. And Kenny Powell, he got 5th place. He might not be getting interviewed right now, but that's a hell of a run, I thought, for him.
Well, I'll be sure to talk to Kenny Powell a little bit later and give him my point of view on what I think he did during the race. But that's not got anything to do with you because you simply are a winner tonight. Victory lane is all yours. I didn't get to catch the burnout. I'm hoping you burn this place down because it was well deserved. Great performance, James Mullins. As always, I look forward to seeing you next week as we race again.
We'll be back strong as ever at Las Vegas next week. Better watch out.
We look forward to it, brother. I hope to speak to you again next week. And congratulations once again to David Gervais and Tanner Love for a top 3 finish on both those drivers. So till we talk to you in Las Vegas next week, this is Al Kozlowski at iRacing Stock Car Association, wishing you a good night, and thanks for watching.